If you are learning a foreign language currently, you know that reading can be exceptionally challenging, particularly in the early phases of learning, simply because you don't understand enough words, you don't understand the relationship between words, and overall it's really painful and it's not particularly enjoyable. So that's what I'm going to explain in this video, how reading can be made easier, and I'm just going to give you some tips. So there are basically two reasons why reading is hard. Here's you. I've put it in a graph because this is I can explain things with words, and then there's also a picture, so it kind of hits every single learning type. Here's you at the moment. Here's you reading in a foreign language. You're encountering information you don't understand. You need to understand the information, and the problem is that you can't understand what's going on. So it's something that's actually blocking between the unknown information and your understanding. This is the problem. You can't understand foreign words, and there are basically the first reason why you don't understand reading and why it's difficult is because the text is at a higher level than your skill. So I want you to imagine this is your level in a foreign language, right? It's abstract, it doesn't matter. Here is where you are if you're looking at the face cam right now. Here is the text that you're reading. It's at a higher level. So you're actually not able to understand completely the text you're reading because there is kind of an asymmetry between the level of difficulty the text is at and your skill within the language. So that is the first reason. The text is at a higher level than your skill in the language. And the problem is that you don't understand a lot of the words in the language. So if you are, what's my next slide? Number 2. Okay, we'll stick to number 1 at the moment. If you don't understand what a lot of the words mean, the solution is obviously to learn those words. So I have already made a video on the input repetition method, which I'll have pop up on the screen right now. But if you are interested in, if you do want to learn the words that you don't understand, you basically need to read the text, make a list of all of the words you don't understand. So if it's a full book, you could read it obviously page by page. If it's a smaller short story, you could potentially just read the whole thing. Make a list of the words you don't know after you've already read it through once. Put them into flashcards and memorize them, reread. Guarantee you, even if you only did the flashcards one time, which you should obviously do more than that, you would have an improved understanding of what is going on. Because you're understanding the words better, you're building those neural connections. So that is the first reason why reading is hard, because you don't understand a lot of the words. The text is at a higher level than your skill. The second reason why reading is hard is because you don't understand a simple concept, which is that there is actually value in the relationship between words. So when you, for example, if you don't understand a word, obviously you translate it, right? Like that's common sense. You're basically, when you translate it, it's because you think that translating the word into its English equivalent is how I get semantic value. We're looking for, there's a concept called, how do I say this in not a complicated way, sorry. When you translate a foreign language word into your native language, it's because that's the only way you can understand it, and so you get that kind of value in your head. Because when you look at a word in English, if I said the word water, for example, an image pops into your head, you know what water is. You get that kind of value from the word water, and the only way you'd get that from the Chinese word for water, or whatever language you're learning, if you didn't know that word, is to translate it. And what you need to understand is there is actually value not just in the translation of words, it also exists in the relationship between words, and particularly for languages that are different, very different from your native language. And the reason for that is because the way words are put together, the way words work together is different in each foreign language. And I'm not just talking about word order. Obviously, different languages use completely different word order, the order you put words in a sentence. I'm literally talking about the logic of a language. So in English, for example, if we said, I don't know nothing, that would be an example of a double negative, right? If you say you don't know nothing, that technically means you know something, even though a lot of people would say I don't know nothing, grammatically incorrectly. But in some languages, like for example, Russian, they actually use double negatives. Someone can fact check me if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. They actually use double negatives to express a single negative. And that's a really, really simple, common example. Every language has different things that just logically work. It just doesn't make sense using the English logic in different languages. And that is why you actually have a lot of difficulty reading, because even if you did understand the direct translations of words, the way they're actually put together just doesn't make sense a lot of the time, particularly when it's more different. So what you actually need to do to solve this is to basically, it's through repetition. It's through consuming a high amount of content so your brain actually learns the way the language works. But this is literally the second reason that you have difficulty understanding what's being written down. You have difficulty reading. It's simply because the logic of each language is different, and you only see value in translating words. You don't understand that actually looking at the whole sentence and understanding what the sentence means as a whole is much more important than just words. So what is actually the solution to this? Well, one, you need to learn the words you're encountering. We already said that. So consuming at a comprehensive input level, so basically not too easy, not too hard, is the best thing to do. And then also the input repetition method, which I also already mentioned. To build a better understanding of the logic of the language, I recommend when you do flashcards to copy words in context, so chunks, and also change your mindset, understand that there is value between words. If you're trying to translate each individual word and getting frustrated, try translating 2 or 3 words put together, and if that's still frustrating, try translating even more words put together and understand why the sentence means this thing. And remember, putting X, Y, and Z words together that are direct translations of X, Y, and Z in English doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same thing in the foreign language. If X plus Y plus Z equals A in English, that doesn't necessarily mean X plus Y plus Z equals A in a foreign language. It could be exact translations put together grammatically correctly and it means a different thing. That's simply because each language is different, and I want you to understand that. But overall, the number one tip I can give you is just practice, practice, practice. Continue exposing yourself to things you don't understand. Translate any words you don't understand. And overall, you will find that you become better just over time at the language. And if you need additional help, you can comment down below, or you can join the Language Learning Accelerator, which I have linked in the description. It's for anyone who's aspiring to learn a language. I will actually coach you one-on-one in it. If you want to check out this sales page below, you can have a look. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope that was useful.